Welcome back to the Joe Show. I'm your host, Joseph Decker. Thank you for everyone tuning in today. It's a little bit of a weird timing for a show. A lot of people's not ready to join a little live episode today at 2:30 in the middle of the day, 3:30 if you're Eastern time. So everyone who's coming in here early, thank you so much for that. We have a fun little episode today. We don't have a guest. I actually don't think I've did a show without a guest in probably a month now, maybe a little longer than that. But luckily, the fan base has grown a little bit. More people's enjoying the show, so I had to come on here and do something today. But today's topic of the show is all things Kentucky high school basketball. Today's show, we're not really covering a certain player, a certain person, but we're just kind of talking about the KHSAA basketball in a whole. We got some special players we want to talk about. We got a little bit of an award show in a way. It's not really an award show, but we have made some lists. I've made some lists talking about the best players through the first week, the MVP through the first week, things like that. It's a rough hair day today. Hair's flat. It's cold outside, man. So I want to excuse that, but it should be a super fun show today. I want to go ahead and knock our sponsors up out of the way so we can go straight to the list, straight to the talking, straight to some things I want to hit on. I want to let everybody know today's show is brought to you by Patton Funeral Home, Stacy's on Main, Tent Studios, Patton Funeral Home, Vet City Barbershop, and Creekside Nursery in Evans County, Kentucky. Now, some way to get more information on all of our sponsors is to go to our Facebook. Once you go to our Facebook, you can look through my photos. You can scroll down, and you will find all of our sponsors. We have one where they're all on the same page. We have some where they're on different pages, and it goes into a little bit more description. So go check that out. Get more familiar with our sponsors, and do your business through them. I like to have the best of the best sponsors, people who do high quality work at good prices. So I want to thank everyone for doing that. If you'd like to join the sponsor team, text me through social media or my number. It's all linked on my Twitter, my Facebook, things like that. But let's go ahead and get into the show today. We're about a week and a day into the Kentucky high school basketball season, and it's been crazy. It really has. That's kind of understating it, but it's been a little wild. We've had some upsets already. We've had some, the dominant teams. We talk about a Great Crossing looking dominant so far. They got into an early battle with Ashland Blazer, which we'll talk about that game here in a minute. But one other thing that I'm going to give out here today is I know some people seen the KSR list for the top 10 teams. I know Nations Elite has given their top 10 teams, all good businesses, good platforms. But I'm going to give you all my top 10 teams. I don't have the most valid opinion out there, I'll say that. But I wanted to kind of give my opinion on it. And, hopefully everybody can see that, kind of give me your thoughts on it. If you don't like the list at all, tell me. I want to hear that. If you like the list, let me know. If you're kind of neutral on it, let me know. But I want to let everybody know that the chat box is available for everyone tonight. Leave comments on Twitter, leave comments on Facebook, YouTube, any of that. I'll see it. We might even mention a few of them. I'll ask this question. We might get some answers. We might not. Who, in your opinion, has been the top player in Kentucky high school basketball through the first week? I'll be giving my opinion on it soon, but I want everybody to be honest. Give me your answers. It can be from any type of school. It can be a city school, a county school. It can be from Louisville, Lexington, anywhere. It doesn't matter. But let's go ahead and let's hit on some notes. We have our note page here so we can hit on some certain things and talk about. I want to say thank you for the support so far on our show and kind of the traveling we've been doing. Took some new jobs, getting some things worked out. So it's been really fun for me to start the season. But one thing I want to praise are these fan bases and communities to start the year. Just got back from Marshall County at the Marshall County Hoop Fest for 3 days. It was electric. I have to say Marshall County's pep section is elite. It really is. It's on another level. So I want to shout those guys out. But we had people, when Butler County was there, they showed up. A lot of Newport fans, McCracken County fans, Fairdale fans. So the support has already been real for these athletes. They've already been there for them. So, and all the athletes that we have talked to on this show have expressed that the community love is, one of the most important things. So I know the players and the families love that. Let's recap the Marshall County Hoop Fest a little bit. It was a good showing for Kentucky. McCracken County, Butler County getting a late battle, 63-70. Butler County comes on top, led by Ty Price on 30 points and 6 assists. So that's a big win for Butler County away. It got chippy there for a little while. Fouls on each side. And that's kind of been the story of the Butler County season so far. We're going to go into county schools first. And we're going to talk about some of my top county schools. And we'll have that popped up here at the bottom for you. Joseph's top 10. It says top 10, but we're just going to do 5 today. My number 1 is Boyd County. I've expressed a lot of love for Boyd County in the past. I'm not a Boyd County fan. I like all these teams evenly. But I really like their roster this season and what they have. One of my biggest risers from summer ball last year was without a doubt, well, I guess it's summer ball this year, was without a doubt Jacob Spurlock. I think he's a great person, but more important, I think he's a great player, but more importantly, a great person. But so far through 3 games, he's averaging 26 points a game and about 10 rebounds. He's shooting at a high efficient clip so far. When you're a guy like Jacob Spurlock, you're going to take a lot of shots. He's done took 55 on the season. He's shooting 56% from the field so far. So those are high clip numbers for him. Him from three is 33%. I know everybody wants to push for 40, and I know Jacob would want 40 himself. So he's going to continue to know to, bump that up and, bump the averages up. Cole Hicks for them also averaging 12 points. Clark Huff, 11 points as well. And then Jackson Childers is also contributing, adding almost 10 points. So, this team all around has really got a lot of offense. They play offense well. Jacob Spurlock averaging 10 boards, like I said. Red Holbrook averaging 6 rebounds. Childers averaging 5.3. Marcus Brumfield at 5. So this team's going out averaging about 40 rebounds a game. They're shooting 80% from the free throw line, which is a big key number, especially in late key games. Shooting 36% from 3 and 48% from the field. So their shooting splits have been great. They played some really solid teams so far. Things really heat up for Ashland Blazer tonight. For Boyd County tonight, is they will play Ashland Blazer. Boyd County versus Ashland Blazer at Boyd County at 7:30. That should be an absolute amazing electric game. One thing I like about Ashland Blazer, which we'll talk about, is the way that they're playing so far, despite being out 3 key players. Braxton Jennings is out. I'll have to get the other two's names, but, all 3 guys are big contributors to the team. Talked to some of my friends over there in the Ashland area, and despite having 2 losses, they're excited for how their season looks so far, due to playing these games with the injuries. So you can't really complain too much if you're an Ashland Blazer fan. You want 2 wins on the schedule. You went to Great Crossing. You competed for 40 minutes. Even went into overtime. So you have to be excited for that. So I'm really happy with what Boyd County's did so far. They beat Lewis County. They beat Greenup. They beat Lanham Christian by 17 from Maryland. So 3 big wins. I don't know if many of you all remember, but the scrimmage right before we actually got into this, where Boyd County played Great Crossing, Jacob Spurlock had a phenomenal game. They competed with Great Crossing, but ultimately lost. But I want to get into our second team, and that's Callaway County. Callaway County has kind of been electric so far. I think a lot of people seen the buzzer beater they hit at Murray State. I was there. It was one of the better buzzer beaters I've ever seen. Probably the best of the year so far. We've had a lot of good ones, but they took down Haywood from Tennessee. They took down Clarksville Academy from Tennessee, both in great style. And then they played Pope John Paul, who's a lot stronger competition. And it's 66-68. Jonah Butler misses the free throw, rebound by Lane, passes it out to Connor Lockhart, and the rest is history. He bangs the 3 to win 69-68. They have Graves County tonight at Graves County. Graves County had a really good win at Marshall County Hoop Fest, winning by over 20. So Graves County, kind of a sneaky team that I like to cover this year and see. Braden Waller is a great player, has a Brusha offer, so he's a really good player, really good talent. So I think that'll be a competitive game there. I think Callaway County will come out on top, but it should be a lot of fun, especially fun for the fans. Number 3 for me is Butler County. Butler County sits at 1-1 on the season. They take that win they beat McCracken at Marshall County by 7, which is a good win. McCracken's a well-coached, really physical team. Jay Martin from McCracken County played really good. I want to give him his flowers here. But Ty Price is averaging about 30 and a half a game right now. And, you would like to see the efficiency a little higher, which I know that's something they'll work on. Ty Price will get his efficiency up. The McCracken game, he had a really rough first half. He had some turnovers, shot some bad percentages, but really bumped it back up in the second half. But they lose last night in a battle. The game almost goes to overtime. It gets really close, 66-71. They lose to Warren East. And Warren East played one of their better games. That's kind of saying it lightly. Warren East played one of their better games they're going to play this season. Warren East played at Butler Traditional during the Butler Traditional Jamboree, and they lost to DuPont Manual by 40+. And a lot of people were quick to write Warren East out. And, I didn't see it. Warren East has a lot of age. They're an older team. They're kind of led by 2026 Caleb Prince, who is a tough shot maker. And, I think they're a team that has to kind of glue together. They're going to use these next few weeks to kind of mold into a team for region and district play. And I think they have the potential to compete for the 4th region. I think without a doubt they're a top 5 team. And, we could be talking, the 3rd or 2nd best team. Not going to count out Warren Central. Not going to count out Bowling Green. Greenwood had a really big win against Owensboro Catholic, which was kind of a shocker to a lot of people. Nick Simpson's playing really good basketball right now. So I know the Gator fans are excited. And the 4th region has kind of been clowned on, has been talked about a lot recently for being weaker than it ever has been. But I know those guys who kind of sit at the top are kind of, laughing at that. They know it's just as competitive, just as strong. You can lose any game, win any game. So I know they'd have something to say about that. Next up at number 4 is my guys over at Woodford County. Now, here's the thing about Woodford County for me. I've not been able to see much of any Woodford County yet. So, they might deserve to be number 1 on this list. They might beat any team on this list. And the way Woodford plays, the way Jerron Brown coaches that basketball team, I wouldn't be mad at anyone that says that. You add in Armello Boone, who I already know he's one of the most electric players. And the thing that kind of makes it hard for me to put Woodford County above some of these guys is they've only played one game so far. And I know they can't help that. That's scheduling. They might have had some issues, but they play Covington Catholic tomorrow at Scott County in the Billy Hicks Classic. So that should be a fun game. But then Woodford County kind of gets into this stretch of just some of the hardest games, that we can kind of see. I know they will play Male at St. Xavier. I know they will play Ashland Blazer. I know they will play Greene County. That's a strong 3-game stretch. You play Greene County, who's one of the top teams, if not the top team of the 5th region. Louisville Male is in my top 5 for best teams in the state. And Ashland Blazer, when fully healthy, which around the 19th at the KOB, when they're fully healthy, they're a top 5, top 6 team. We've seen what Xander Carter and them were able to do last year going to state tournament, only losing to the eventual champions by 2 on a controversial late call. So Ashland Blazer, full strength, fully healthy, will be a hard team to get past. But Woodford County does have a strong basketball team this year. Without a doubt, Armello Boone started his season with 15 points. And, we kind of have to talk about the strong 2027 players for Woodford County. We all know the power of Thurman Wade and Omari Jointer. Thurman Wade scoring 11 points in their first game on really strong efficiency. So you can't be mad as a Woodford fan. I can't wait to see them in person. I'll see them this weekend. So that'll give me a better way to judge this roster, judge this team. But, without a doubt would be in my top 25 statewide. I know some people have them as high as 12. I'm not mad at that. So, let me watch this team a little more. Let me judge them a little more. And I'll be able to kind of properly rank them. But I knew without a doubt they were pushing top 3, maybe top 3 at East. So I know a lot of people with Butler County losing to Warren East would kind of move Woodford County into that number 1 for the county schools. Like I said, just haven't seen enough of them. Need to see more of them. That's on me. That's a me thing. I will see more of them. I'll watch kind of their game film against Cov Caps tomorrow and go back and watch some of their other film. Had a few people talking in the chat so far. The Ashland at Boyd game is on MyTown TV tonight. So if you're interested in watching the Ashland versus Boyd County game tonight, it's on MyTown TV. Go enjoy that. And then last but not least is Harlan County. Harlan County's 3-0 so far to start. They're a phenomenal team. They really are. Another team that I've just really not got to see as much from, looking in. It's about a 4.5-hour drive for me. But one guy that I have watched all of his tape, kind of talked to him a lot, sent me highlights, how he's playing is Maddox Huff. He's been the best player in the state of Kentucky so far. You can debate him and Malachi Moreno, with Malachi being a center, Maddox being a guard. It's kind of hard to debate those two, but it's without a doubt one of them two. I have some other names that deserve to be in that, conversation. We'll hit on that first team here in a second. But Maddox Huff has been electric. 38 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists on amazing shooting splits. I know he only had 17 last night. I was told that, but his averages are still about 33 points. When you're scoring 40 a night at almost, you're allowed to have one of those low nights where you still pair it with good efficiency when you shot the ball, a good amount of assists, low turnovers. So that's the thing. Harlan County looking really good so far. They've played a lot of the, Eastern Kentucky teams. They beat Betsy Lane. They beat Corbin. They beat Berry County Central. They only got by Betsy Lane by 4. They only got by Corbin by 4. And they beat Knott County Central last night pretty comfortably at 15, despite Maddox kind of having a, lower scoring game. They're actually at 4-0. Hadn't had that added till made these graphics last night. But, Reggie Cottrell, we have to talk about Reggie. I love Reggie to death. That's my guy. But, with the things that he had to deal with this summer, the injuries he faced, the things like that, for him to go out here and dominate, scoring 27 points, on 9 for 18, shooting 50% from the field, scoring 27 points is amazing. I know the Harlan County fans knew, despite injuries, his style of play, the way he's playing basketball wouldn't go anywhere. Brody Napier's adding 10 points a game. Trenton Cole is averaging 8. J.C. Carter 7.5. So, that starting 5 is pumping in a lot of points. Interested to see how the depth is on that team, how the bench plays, how they contribute, when a guy goes out. So that'll be a big thing to look for. They're shooting 80% from the free throw line, 42% from the field. 42% from 3 and 55% from the field. So they're a fun team to look at. Their defense is allowing a lot of points, against Betsy Lane, against Corbin. But, then they have a game against Knott County Central where they kind of shut them down, force them to, under 60 points. So that's good on them. And, 121 rebounds as a team is super impressive. They're averaging 30 a game. Maddox with 9.2, J.C. Carter with 7.0. I want to add on this before we get into our top 5 players so far through the season. These stats were made about 2 days ago, a day to 2 days ago. So, for instance, Maddox Huff played a game yesterday. His stats went, to about 34-9. So, take this as if we were doing this show Sunday. Obviously, we're not. I had some things coming the way, but I'm just going to highlight that kind of first week, that Monday through Sunday. I am doing this on the next week of Tuesday, so it's hard to kind of say that. But, I want to talk about this next list I'm going to have here for you all, and that is my first week, first team. The top 5 players, I kind of keep it position-based. You look at the All-NBA first team, you have guard, forward/guard, forward center, or forward. So I kind of tried to keep it in that category. I wish I could slow the ticker down to the bottom a little bit, but first week, first team, without a doubt, Maddox Huff. At the time he was averaging 38.5, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, still averaging 34-9. Crazy numbers from Maddox. Cole Edelin, 27 points, 5 assists, about 5 rebounds, and about 4 steals. Mel has played one of the strongest slate of games to start the season so far. And there's not really been a lot of bad negative things you can say about that team. They're sitting at 2-0. They come off an Eastern game. They come off a Trinity game. So, that's a big way to start. I believe they played one more game that's not listed on there yet. So, you have to be happy with the way they're playing so far. Cole Edelin has looked great, scoring 81 points through 3 games played. So, that's what I'm saying, man. He's played super good. He's shooting great efficiency. When you see a guard out here, like we talked about Spurlock, shooting 55% from the field, that's big-time numbers. And, the thing about Cole is that he's shooting 48% from 3. He shot 25 threes on the season. He's hit 12 of them. Great efficiency. Every time he shoots 2, he's hitting 1 of them. So, that's a really good way to look at it. Cole's getting on the glass. He's grabbing rebounds, which is something you'd love to see. He's getting steals at a high clip. He's one of the better, pickpocketer that we have in the state of Kentucky. So great numbers by Cole. Hopefully to see Cole tonight at the Western Kentucky game. Want to tell him how proud I am of how he's playing. So big stuff from Cole. Jeriah Brown from W.E.B. Du Bois has been on fire. What I like about him is that he's the youngest guy on this list. He's a 2027. Du Bois is 1-2. They've played a really hard schedule. They lost to Eastern in a game where they were down as much as 20. They only ended losing up by 10. They played Great Crossing, which one thing about Du Bois is they don't really have the height to match a team like Great Crossing. So, that's just a hard game to play, but it's a game you want to play to build yourself up for, the postseason. Jeriah Brown is averaging 33.5 basically points a game. So the guy's electric. He's scoring great. He scored 49 points in a game recently, which was the Du Bois record. Nobody had ever scored over 40, I believe, if I read that graphic right. But he's pairing it with 5 rebounds and 3 assists. You say he's a point guard. Like to see him get those assist numbers up a little bit. But the scoring has just been on a tear recently, and that's something that he's going to do all season. These guys have some teammates who have been playing great that we're going to hit on. Don't worry one bit, but I just really want to highlight that, an amazing set of 3 games for Jeriah Brown. To see this guy score 49 points, he got to the line 22 times. He hit 19 of them. Great efficiency, from that part of the field. He shot 14 for 31, pushing 50%. You'd like to see that higher, but when you kind of take the game over, you've got to take a lot of the shots. But, 22 free throws, he hit 19 of them. He got to the line great. Khalil Ogletree had a little bit of a softer game that night. Khalil Ogletree is a phenomenal basketball player. You need to have him on your monitor. You need to have him on your radar if you've not seen him yet. He's a 2027 guard, just like Jeriah. They're going to be playing for these next few years together. It's going to be a fun duo to keep up with. He's been having an electric season, scored 24 points 2 to 3 nights ago. But, when some of the other guys aren't being able to get their shots off, they aren't able to score the ball, at a great clip like they had previously. You have a guy like Jeriah Brown step up, and you feel comfortable in knowing that if he gets tasked with this moment again, he can really dominate. Thank you, Douglas Walker, for the comment. Great show, Joe. We try over here, man. But Xander Carter, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4.5 assists on 72% shooting from the field. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about my guy, Xander Carter. One of the best Joe Show guests of all time. Both of them. Maddox Huff was a great interview as well. but Xander Carter, one of the best interviews we've had on here, played a phenomenal game against Great Crossing. They take that game to overtime. Like I said, without three guys, Xander's tasked with playing the big man, has to compete with Malachi all night. He scores 29 points, grabs about 7 rebounds, throws 5 assists. So really solid game from him there. They lose to Hazard at Hazard. We've heard about that game a lot. We've heard about the rough calling. We've heard about, the officiating, but throwing that away, he still played a really solid game. That's what led his numbers to where they are now. He's leading that team. If you watch the way Xander Carter plays, he's talking every second of it. The guy would lose quiet as a mouse very quick. The guy talks every second, but he's such a good leader on the floor, telling these guys where to react, ball screens, what's going on, things like that. And I respect that a lot because there's a lot of kids who's great at basketball and great people, but they just can't lead on the floor. And that's something that college coaches looks at. And I think Liberty has seen how he's been playing, and they're extremely excited to have this guy on their roster. Like I said, they play Boyd County tonight, which should be a fun one. It should be a battle. I'm really expecting a high-scoring battle. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like an 88-86 game. So that should be a really good one. Ashland decided to kind of spice it up a little bit. They played their first 3 games on the road, so you always get that road competition. But then they'll go and they'll play their next game at home against Fairview. So that one should be a really good game. Let's talk about Malachi Moreno, the Kentucky commit, the favorite for Mr. Basketball. He's played a really good game against Ashland Blazer, but he's kind of spread this season out so far, playing great all around. He's averaging about 25 points a game, 16 rebounds, and about 5 blocks. Those are Malachi Moreno numbers for you folks. Not a better, not a better interior defender in the state than Malachi Moreno, with his size and his length. Malachi, like I said, 24.6 a game, shooting a high efficiency from the field, at 85%. He's not really, stepping out and shooting the 3 ball, but, to shoot about 40 shots and hit 34 of them, that's a way to start the season. We got to see Malachi shoot a few threes this year. I'm really excited to see Malachi maybe run some pick and pop actions. And he's getting to the free throw line. He's only shooting 47% from the free throw line at 8 for 17. But I know that's something Malachi's determined to work on. You might say, well, should teams just take the approach of fouling Malachi Moreno? But I seen at the state tournament last year, that was used against Spencer County, and he was able to get in the rhythm and knock him down. So, that'll be fun. Junius Burrell hit the game-tying shot to send them to overtime against Ashland. So that was a super fun team, super fun game to watch. And, this Great Crossing team is, without a doubt, I feel like to a lot of people, I know a lot of people want to put St. X over Great Crossing due to beating them twice this summer. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all. But, you can have the debate. You can see who's better. They're going to play this weekend at the Made Hoops event in Louisville. I'll plug that a little bit today, the Derby City event. So, that'll be their first time in the regular season playing. That'll tell a lot. But let's go ahead and get into these top 10 teams. You might love it. You might hate it. This is a hard list for me to make. There were some teams I cut off that I wanted to add. Woodford County, Callaway County, 2 of those teams we talked about earlier that I think 100% could be on this list. But let's get it on here, and there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, my top 10 teams so far through the season. This isn't necessarily, who has been the most electric, who's been the most fun, but these teams are winning. These teams are getting the job done. You'll see one team on here who's 0-2. I'll give my reasoning for that. I'll explain that. I think it's too early to take this team off, but Great Crossing at number 1, without a doubt. We just talked about that. They battled in a game against Ashland Blazer, and some people have said, well, Ashland Blazers without 3 of their guys, is it really a win on Great Crossing's part? But, a win's a win. They get a big win there. They play Montgomery County, the young, exciting, fast team. Coach Hayes, great coach, and they beat them by 17. They've played 3 straight home games. They'll play their 4th home game against Franklin County. So you say, well, I'd like to see them play away, go in an atmosphere. Well, despite that, they've been able to dominate at home. Ashland Blazer had a huge fan base there, so it was kind of 50-50 going back and forth in the crowd. But Ashland Blazer, they take down Montgomery County. They take down Du Bois. I think without a doubt to a lot of people, they say that Great Crossing has the best big 3 in the state. That's a good question. That's for another episode. We'll talk about that. But L.J. Holman averaging 10 points a game. Junius Burrell, 10 points a game. Gage Richardson, 7 a game. Jamari Mason off the bench averaging 5. Brady Orem averaging 4. I'll talk about Brady Orem here in a second, but Malachi Moreno, 25 about a game. Vince Dawson, 21 a game. But Brady Orem, Malachi Moreno gets into a little bit of foul trouble in the second half in the second quarter, against Ashland Blazer. Brady Orem comes in and plays some quality key minutes. Grabs some multiple rebounds, grabs a block or 2, ends up scoring. He ended that game with 5 points, 5 points, a rebound, and about 1 to 2 blocks. So I like to see him come into the game there as a freshman and make an impact against a really old, experienced Ashland Blazer team. We'll move on to number 2, St. X. Is there a more exciting and highlight reel team than St. X? There might not be. Josh Lindsey starting to get in the rotation. A lot of people love Josh Lindsey and what he offers to this team. He's one of the most exciting 2028s in the country. And yeah, I said country. I think a lot of people seen what he's doing. He's got a phenomenal skill set. His vertical's so fun to see. But this team sits at 2-0 right now. They beat Spencer County by almost 30. They beat them by 29 points, 91 to 62. And they beat Brown 97 to 42. And you would think that these guys are just going out here and they're being led by maybe Jeremiah or Dillingham. But the whole team is just scoring so well. They play so great as a team. And that's what I kind of like the most about them. Jeremiah Jackson is averaging 17.5 points right now. Connor Klein is averaging 13. Graham is averaging 9.5. Jermaine Cameron is averaging 9.5. Chance Dillingham is averaging 9. Josh Lindsey, 8.5. Will Hank, 8.5. Brandon Day is about to be hitting 7 a game. Bryce Johnson, 5. This team's scoring is just so diverse. There's not a more depth team. You might be able to make the case and say, well, Great Crossing's kind of led by their top guys, but St. X is a better all-around team. And I wouldn't be mad at that take at all. They're shooting great from the field. You can never complain shooting 62% from the field as a team. You scored 188 points on the season, and you're shooting that high of a clip. That's just phenomenal shooting from them as a team. They're shooting good from the field goal. Like I just said, at 62%. The three-point line is at about 38%. You'd like to see that be a little higher, but I know these guys are some great shooters. They're going to start getting into the rhythm. Jeremiah Jackson shooting 3 for 5 from 3. Connor Klein shooting 44% from 3, taking the most on the team besides Chance. Chance shooting 4 for 12 right now. Chance is going to get that up. I think we all know the kind of player Chance Dillingham is, but these guys have got to the line 17 times. They've only hit 11 of them. That's 65%. That's a percentage that's just going to grow. But, this team has scored 90-plus points back-to-back games and only got to the free throw line 17 times. So, there's been some really good offense ran. Nobody on this team is averaging over 5 rebounds a game, but they're averaging 31 as a team. So everybody's crashing the boards, getting on there, making plays. This team's fun. I think the Great Crossing St. X game has potential to be game of the year. So, and it's this weekend at the Derby City Made Hoops event. So it's going to be fun to watch that game take action and see the outcome of that one. I know almost everybody peeking in and watching is excited to see that one. Some of us are blessed to be able to see it in person. At number 3 is Louisville Male. Look, we talked about them earlier. They have a really big win on their resume now, already taking down Trinity. Now, Trinity was without Jaden Johnson. So how do you look at that? How do you rate that? Warren Central came into at the Butler Down Jamboree. Warren Central, one of the top teams. They'd be in my top 25. Warren Central played Trinity, and Trinity held them to under 35 points. So despite no Jaden Johnson, this Trinity defense is electric. They get back, they play well, but they allowed Mel to score 76 on them. Mel scored 75 and 76 a game right now. They held Eastern to 63. They held Trinity to 58. They did a great job against Trinity. Cole Edlin was able to kind of do whatever he wanted, that game. He shot about 6 for 16. I'd like to see the percentage higher, of course, but he gets to the line 10 times, hits 8 of them. He had 26 points. Jason Gasaway with 19 points. Jordan Mitchell, 14 points. James Clark, 12 points. Trey Hillerich is a guy that I'm really invested in. I think he's going to be a great player. He's young. He's a freshman. Same with Jordan Mitchell. Trey Hillerich getting in there, getting a bucket. Keyshawn Jordan goes scoreless, but he makes such a, all-around impact, on outside of the box score. He grabs almost 10 rebounds that game. He grabs 8 boards. So Keyshawn Jordan has some of these D1 looks because the way he's able to impact the basketball game without scoring 20, 30 a game. Right now he's averaging 7 and 8 a game on good efficiency. So love to see that from Keyshawn. But this Mel team just plays great together. They shoot the ball well. At about 45% as a team. They shoot 50% as a team from the field. They shoot 45% from 3. So those are great numbers nobody's mad at. And when they're getting to the line, they got to the line 54 times early. Cole Edlin is amazing at drawing contact. Keyshawn Jordan, with the way he's playing down there on the block, it's able to draw contact. Jordan Mitchell's got to the line 8 times. So this team's able to get to the lane. They're able to draw a foul, if the look's not there. So, that's the one thing you really have to like about this team. They've had 87 rebounds already. They're averaging about 44 rebounds a game. So this team's active on the glass. They're active around the arc. They get to the line really good. So it's hard to not like a team like this. A lot of people think they're a contender for state. They're in a really tough region. So it'll be fun to see who makes it out of that region and goes on to the next level. But right now, the favorite for a lot of people is either Male or St. X. Number 4 is where things get fun. I got Lloyd Memorial. A lot of people think Lloyd Memorial are not as good as advertised. And, I'm not going to sit here and say, they're not a good team. They don't deserve to be there. And, no, they are a really good team. Lloyd Memorial, had some trouble in the region last year, going out early, but they played one of the top teams. The state, you go in that state tournament, Newport, wins that region. They're without a doubt the most talented team in that region. And Talon Kinney's hurt in that first game. They lose to Campbell County. If Talon's there, do they win that game? There's a very good shot. I know a lot of people like myself had Newport making a deep run, possibly winning the whole thing. But, it's hard not to cheer for a team that's ran by two of the top players kind of in the state of Kentucky. E.J. Walker, South Carolina commit, Anthony Blackar. Anthony has took a huge step up. He's averaging 20 a game right now. That's what I like about him so much is the way he's been able to step his game up. He's without a doubt one of the top 2026 prospects in the state, and he's showing that this year. E.J. Walker's averaging 19 points a game and 14 rebounds. A lot of people think, E.J. Walker of more of, kind of a 4 and a 3, but he's took on the role of playing in the 5 a lot this year, getting down there, getting dirty. This team's made it to the line 19 times. They hit 16 of them. So you like to see a team that's getting to the line a little bit early, not as much as a Male team who shot over 40 plus, but they're getting to the line. They're shooting good efficiency. They're shooting 85% from the free throw line. From the three-point line, Lloyd Memorial, not really a team I think of, as a three-point team. Carter Bresser shooting 4 for 6. Anthony Blackar shooting 2 for 3. You'd like to see more threes up, but that's not really the style of play that Coach Walker and Lloyd goes for. They're more of an in transition. They like to get down low. They like to get buckets. They like to play dirty ball at times, with the size EJ has. So, you'd like to see how they're playing still, being able to knock down the 3 ball whenever they go to it. They're getting to the line a little bit. They're shooting 64% from a team. As a team, when you look at it, they're hitting about 30 shots a game. So that's a good way to look at it. Their scorings, kind of messed around a little bit. It's like a board, you got some guys averaging 5, 7, 11, 18, 20. So, it's evenly distributed so far. This is a really fun team. I'm really excited to see them play Newport Central Catholic. Then they'll play Cal, Christian Academy Louisville this weekend. They'll start out with St. X at Fairdale. So for the King of the Bluegrass, so that'll be fun. Then you have the AIT where they'll play Harlan County. Then they play Holy Cross Covington Catholic. So they got one of the harder schedules for the month of December. It's going to be fun to see how they compete against them. If they beat Cal, then beat St. X, make a little bit of a run in the King of the Bluegrass, then we're talking about them even higher. If they beat St. X, Harlan County, Cal, makes a deep run, then we're talking competing for number 1 or 2. So, I like this Lloyd Memorial team. I think they can only go up from here, but I think with a few losses, they could go down. It's hard to judge this team at times. Want to see them a little more. Hopefully can go up and see them. Trinity is an electric, fun defensive team. One thing I noticed about Trinity is the way they play defense. They beat DeSales, they hold them to 40 points. They beat Madison Southern, they hold them to 42 points. When they played Warren Central in the Bear Down Jamboree, they held them to under 35. So their defense is electric. Julius Edmonds inside in the paint is one of the most physical specimens we have in high school basketball. A lot of people say, well, he's too high ranked. He's too high advertised. No, he really is probably the most physical player that we have, outside of a guy like, some of these smaller guards we have that just get on the floor and run. He's without a doubt probably the most physical big man, that we have. He's averaging 10 rebounds a game right now, and he pairs it with 13 points. He's shooting a good clip. He's shooting a good clip, so far throughout the season, shooting 56% from the field. And the thing that I do like about Trinity is threes aren't really falling for them right now. They've shot 54. They've hit 17. You'd like to see that above 31%. They're hitting only about 5.5 to 6 a game. So you like to see those numbers go in. But once those shots start falling, it's a whole different approach. Welcome back, Jaden Johnson. Jaden Johnson played the other night against Madison Southern. Still probably, kind of babying the injury, not wanting to get hurt. I know he was dealing with some ankle and foot, which had him out those first few games. But, he comes back. He scores 7 points. Like I said, probably managing it. Probably not wanting to get hurt any worse than he is. 7 points, 4 rebounds, good way to start the season. Those numbers will only improve. So Once you get Jaden Johnson back like they did, he gets fully healthy. This is a whole different basketball team. That's why I have them as high as they are. It's hard to beat a Mill team. Mill is a dominant juggernaut team this year. So you play Mill, you lose by 18. You say, well, how are they 3? How are they 5? But you look about, what if they had Jaden that game? How much more of a defensive impact does he make? Because that's what he's great at. How much more does he score the ball for them? So, I'm going to keep him at 5 right now. I know KSR had them at 2. So, and some people thought that was a little too high. I'm not going to get into their rankings, kind of start a debate, but I'm really excited to see how Trinity finishes up this season. They got a fun schedule ahead of them. They got their guys back. Newport at number 6. Let's talk about Newport, folks. One thing I'm really excited to talk about Newport is the way that Griffin Starks has played basketball so far. Got to watch him play McCallie and Davis County recently at the Marshall County Hoop Fest, and he's playing with a different type of swagger. This team's offense, once again, like I said earlier, is kind of, all around. These guys have so many people who's scoring the ball. That's one of my most favorite things about Newport is they can kill you in multiple styles, multiple types of ways. They're shooting 33% behind the arc. You'd like to see that a little higher. Griffin Starks is shooting 50% from deep. When you got a 6'8" frame guy who's a little athletic, out here shooting 50% from 3, he's a dangerous, dangerous man. We've had some rankings countrywide rank him all the way up to number 50. To a lot of people, he's the number 1 2027. So he's playing like that so far. His numbers are only going to boost. Deshaun Anderson is one of the best defenders in the state of Kentucky, especially on the perimeter. He's averaging 10.5 right now, though, but his defense is smothering. It's contagious to the team. They all want to get into it, play it physical. James Turner right now is averaging 14 points and 5 boards. One thing a lot of people questioned is how would James Turner step up into this offense with Taylor Kinney gone? And, he's done a really good job at it. When you watch the game against Davis County, they win that game 66-61. Davis County, another team that could have been on that county list. They looked really good despite the loss, but congratulations, Jonathan Moss, on 1,000 points. He played really good, but James Turner's taking more dribble pull-ups. He's getting the ball, kind of moving, finessing his way around in the paint, taking a post fade, getting his way to the low block, hitting the dribble, creating a little bit of separation, going up with the post hook. So he's playing really good basketball so far. James Turner is as good as advertised. I know some people counted off Newport this summer because they lost some games. I know they lost to when Butler County was fully healthy. They got in a battle down there at Collins, and a lot of people wrote them off, but the fully healthy Butler County team is phenomenal. They'd be possibly at this spot when healthy. So, it's a fun team. They're going to continue to grow together. The Lowe brothers are phenomenal at basketball. Amante is a phenomenal distributor, great playmaker, really what this team needs. And, Yamil is on his way. They're still not a fully healthy. So, you think about adding him back to the team is just going to make it, even more fun. Yamil Rondon, point guard, this is senior season. A lot on the line for him. When they get him back, they get one of the top passers and playmakers in the state. So it's going to be fun to see how they play with him, but they're already loaded. They're already playing basketball so good so far. So you add another guy like that back to the team, it's a fun way to look at it. They'll play Rowell, they'll play Campbell County, and, they'll play Bryan Station. Those will be 3 really fun games. Bryan Station to start the King of the Bluegrass will be a fun game, mainly because of the guard play. How will Griffin Starks react to a guy like Tayshawn Adams? You'll have Amari Owens going up against Deshaun. So it'll be a lot of fun watching that game. I'm excited to see it. But, Newport lands there for me strictly to the way they play physical basketball, the way Griffin Starks is starting to have his kind of breakout season, the way James Turner has stepped up in the offensive realm. So, that's one thing I want to say. Ashland and Boyd County tonight. Big battle on the 16th. Yes, sir, Ben. I love to see that. A lot of Greene County fans tuning in. I love Greene County. Definitely going to want to see more of them, how they play it out. But they have potential to be here. They're a lot of people's favorite in the 5th, especially when they play Adair County. That'll be fun to judge. Number 7's Ashland Blazer, and here's where I'm going to catch some heck. They lose to Hazard. They lose to Great Cross. Big thing for me is they're out 2 guys who played in the state tournament heavy minutes last year. So they're not fully healthy at all. Right now, they are still playing really good basketball. I will say that. The Great Crossing game, when you watch this team play basketball, it's like, how are you going to find a better 3-point shooting team than what Ashland Blazer has with Preston Hoskins, with Drew Smith, with Xander Carter? So, it's a hard team to judge right now due to injuries, but I know these guys are going to get back on the road, and then we're going to be talking again. This team's the favorite for the 16th. How far are they going to make it in state? They had a hard draw last year, so, they have some really good teams they're going to play for the rest of this season. And I'm really interested to see how they go. They'll play Boyd County again this year. They'll play Pikeville, who's looked good. King of the Bluegrass, the way the schedules are set, you never know who you'll end up playing, but you're going to play somebody good, whether if it's consolation, whether if it's, moving on to the winner's bracket. But, we will know they'll play Woodford County. They will play Boyd County in the next week or two. So those are going to be some big games on their resume. If they beat Boyd County tonight, despite having some injuries, it kind of says, maybe they deserve to be there. Maybe they deserve to be this high. Maybe they're as good as advertised. So that'll be a big game for their resume come later on when rankings come out. But let's move on, because with the injuries, it's hard to talk about a lot of things besides how good Drew, Hoskins, and Maddox have played so far. But we know these guys are going to get more healthy. I know Coach Bonner's excited for this team. Number 8 is DuPont Manual. And I say DuPont Manual. I think it's DuPont. That's one thing I don't know the 100% pronunciation on. Somebody fill me in on that. But they get in a really physical game against a physical, tough, competitive J-Town team. They come out on top. They win by 4. Justice Decker, 26 points. Malachi Coleman, 22 points. And one of the shiftiest, best all-around guards on the offensive side of the floor, Noah Smith, had 15 points. He's a really underlooked senior who has been under-recruited, but he's electric. He was electric in the Bear Down Jamboree, scoring 30 points against Warren East, and he's kind of took off where he left there. Mark Woods has played, big minutes, and then Geoffrey, is a player that I'm really big on and I'm investing on, and I think has played great physical basketball so far. He's a younger guy still. He still has another year after this season. So, he's a player I really like to see. Justice Decker right now shooting 66% from the field, and that's a big number. I think Justice, when he gets going from 3, it's hard to contain him. He's shooting 50% from 3. Malachi Coleman not really getting the 3 to fall early on. But, we don't have this team's full stats. We have the Moore game that's not been put into the official stats yet, so you can't look all the way around. But Justice Decker had 11 against Moore. Deshaun McGee had 19, and Malachi Coleman had 25. So Malachi Coleman has always been one of the more respected guards in the state of Kentucky. This is senior season. He's playing super good so far. I think he's been under-recruited as well by some of these colleges. So it'll be fun to see how he finishes out this year. When you shoot 6 for 8 and 10 for 12 from free throw line, you're doing something right. So, like I said, would like to see their scoring numbers get up a little more, especially with them shooting 40% from the field. Let me say that back. I'd like to see their percentages go up a little bit. They've scored 86 and 79. They're putting points on the board, just about as better as anyone. So, that would be a false statement by me. Number 9, we're getting close to that 10 mark. Number 9, we got Bryan Station. And Bryan Station, I like the physicality of play they bring. You see what you kind of mentioned when you talk about all these teams is how physical they play. We got some of these, offensive-minded teams come in to play a Bryan Station, an Ashland Blaze, or a DuPont, and they get killed because they can't handle how physical of basketball they play. The Bryan Station schedule, I will agree, has been a little weak to start off. I think Montgomery County sets at 0-3, but they're a lot better team than what their record says. They're still going to mold. Andrew Terry is a 2028. Tice Jarvis is a 2027. These guys are just going to get better. They're just going to learn more. They're just going to, put up better numbers. They're just going to improve. So it's hard to judge Montgomery County early, but Bryan Station was able to get the win. Amari Owens scores 33 points. Now, I'll talk about Amari Owens because I love the guy to death. He's such a fun player to watch, but, he shot 25 shots inside the arc. He hit 14 of them. So he shot 50% above, from the inside, and he shot 1 for 3 from 3 ball. The teams complain have always been Amari Owens can't shoot the ball, consistently. So you push him inside. But I know there's something that Amari Owens has worked on consistently, and that is expanding his 3 ball, being able to shoot it from deep. We saw he hit 1. He shot 1 for 3, 33%. So, if he can start getting these 3s to fall, if he can start becoming an efficient shooter, not only will more and more colleges come, but he will be one of the top players in the state, which I think he already is, especially in that 2026 class. So, Amari Owens and Tayshawn Adams, the junior duo, they both scored double digits. If they're contributing for 45 points a game together, you can't ask for much more. Tayshawn Adams had 12. Tayshawn Adams is electric. A lot of people's not familiar with his game, but he's a super fun player to watch. He can jump above the backboard. It feels like him and Amari have had some really fun alley-oop plays already to start. So, and I'm not even mentioning a Brunley Fawn, a Justin Richardson, a Rashad Faulkner, a Christian Jerton, guys like that who's on this roster and will play key minutes for them. So, how far, some people say how far will Amari Owens take this team, but I think there's a lot of other guys on this roster who can step up and play big minutes. Of course, you want to be led by your star in Amari Owens, but he started a really strong campaign. We have to say that. He's averaging 25 a game right now. So you can't ask for much more out of one of the most respected and one of the top 2026s in the state of Kentucky. So we're going to move on to our number 10. We're going to move on to our number 10, which is Boyd County. I like Boyd County a lot. We've talked about him a lot this episode already. So we're kind of hit on him again. I think Jacob Spurlock has kind of put himself in that conversation for one of the top guards in the state of Kentucky. And he's shooting it. He's shooting like it. And one thing I like about Jacob Spurlock is with his extra size he adds, he's grabbing 10 boards a game. He's shooting 55% from the field. He's shooting a great efficiency clip from the three-point line, shooting 33%. That's only going to rise. 33 is not where he wants to settle. But, he's shooting 8 for 24 there. That continues to boost. He could be averaging 30, 35, 40 a game right now, which is crazy to say if just a few of those threes went in. I like Cole Hicks. I like Clark Huff. Two of them, Clark Huff being a sophomore. So I like that. They're kind of rolling Jacob Carter into the game, who's one of the biggest bodies, biggest frames we have in basketball, but the guy's a 7th grader. So he has so much room to grow, in just a few more years, he could be dominating at Boyd County. So getting him in there early, getting him to start playing basketball is really fun to see. He's a big body. You develop him, he could be playing big minutes this year for him. Jackson Childers averaging 9 a game, getting on the glass. We're at Holbrook. You have a guy like Jacob Spurlock, who's a 2026. You have Cole Hicks. You have Clark Huff. Clark Huff, a sophomore, Jacob Spurlock, a junior. And then they're kind of filled out with a bunch of seniors that, your top guys are getting, your younger guys are getting the buckets, and then the seniors are kind of playing the dirty work. So I like to see that from this team. That's all I have for the top 10 teams. I could elaborate. I could add some more teams on here. We could go back to those county schools and say Woodford County and Callaway County deserved to be here. Harlan County deserved to be here. But, the Kentucky Basketball League right now is stacked. There's so many good teams. You look at the KSR list, they're doing their best to put out 25 top teams, which I couldn't even imagine doing. They're hard. We didn't mention no Warren County teams here, but Warren Central has looked really strong so far. So has Bowling Green. In case you missed it, we talked about our all-first team first week. Cole Edlin, Maddox Huff, Jeriah Brown, Xander Carter, Malachi Moreno. We gave our top teams: Great Crossing, St. X, Male, Lloyd Memorial, Trinity, Newport, Ashland Blazer, Manual, Bryan Station, Boyd County. County schools, we gave our top 5. We said Boyd County, we said Callaway County, we said Butler, we said Woodford, we said Harlan, and we said honorable mentions to Adair and Greene County, because the 5th region, those guys look like the top 2 right now. It'll be fun to see them battle. I know they don't have a game on the regular season, so that'll be a fun one to see. Let's talk about some players on the rise who's really been stepping up their game so far. We actually found a way to talk about all of them in that little segment. Jonah Butler scores 33 and 9 in their last game, attributes for the missed free throw, which made the play happen. Jonah Butler has continued to prove that he's one of the best 2025s in the state of Kentucky, had a huge game. Jacob Spurlock, we talked about his shooting numbers. He's tasked with one of his biggest games of his career tonight early. You want to get that 16th region win, early in the season against Ashland. So that will be a very fun game. Ant McAfee, the transfer in to Warren Central. Some people not familiar with this game. Well, he just committed to Bellarmine, so that says something. You got to be pretty good. How would I describe Ant McAfee? He's built like Pedro Bradshaw, which is fun to see him going to Bellarmine, where Pedro spent so much time. He's a great point guard, but more importantly, he averages 5 rebounds, 20 points, and probably 7 or 8 assists. That's what he was great at Legacy Christian when he played in the KCAA, goes to the KSSAA. William Unseld, talking to Coach Unseld, one of the best in the business, talking about how he has one of the top players in the region, if not the top player, with him joining his team. Armani Bird is averaging 12 points a game right now and 7 rebounds. He's a 6'6", 6'7", 2 guard who is only a sophomore. So he only has room to grow. He only has room to improve. He already has been looked at by schools like SEMO. So that's a great thing to see from him early in his career. Tayshawn Adams, the electric high-flying forward from Bryan Station. That's a guy I want to keep eyes on, see how he continues to play. James Turner at Newport. How will he accept taking that number 1, number 2 role, there at Newport with Taylor Kinney gone? So far, he's done it good. He's averaging about 14 and 6. A super physical defender, multiple D1 offers across the board. Love to see when he commits where he ultimately chooses. Anthony Blackhart at Lloyd Memorial, one of the top 2026 guards in the state of Kentucky, averaging 20 points a game right now, helping lead Lloyd Memorial into those deep conversations on who is the best team in the state of Kentucky. So excited to see him continue to play basketball and how he does. And then Bray Kirk, a part of that state tournament winning team at Lyon County last season. He's dominated on the offensive side so far. Some people say the second region is small. Some people says they're not tough. Some people says, they're not going to compete this year. Whoever wins that's not a tremendous, great basketball team, that the second region's weak. But, I know a lot of people know I disagree with that statement. I think the second region has some super strong teams this year that's going to compete, make some noise, have a lot of fun over there. So how far can Bray Kirk help lead Lyon County? A lot of people were worried with him setting behind Jet, with him setting behind, Reddick, Travis Perry, Shoulders. Was he enough to be a number one? But, going up against those guys in practice all the time, playing the teams you did, he's embraced that so far. He's almost averaging 19 and a half a game right now. So big stuff from Bray Kirk. I would say my top 2028 so far through the regular season has to be my guy Jordan Mitchell at Louisville Male. Honorable mention, you could argue him number one, is Austin Sears. We'll talk about Austin Sears and how he's played so far at North Oldham. But I'll tell you what, he's played great. They're 1-2. You'd like to see that high, but this kid's a freshman. Austin Sears averaging 22 points a game, and dishing out assists. One of his games where he almost had, where he had about 25 points. He scored 23 of them in the first half, but he didn't play the fourth quarter. So Austin Sears has looked really good, but I have to give it to Jordan Mitchell just because the way that he's able to impact the game on both sides of the floor. Jordan Mitchell is a very physical kid for being a freshman. I know he'd appreciate me saying this, but Jordan Mitchell's a phenomenal playmaker. He crashes the boards. He scores good for his size. And, he can stretch out and shoot the three ball. Right now he's averaging 14 points a game. He's grabbing about 5 rebounds, probably dishing out near 5 assists, shooting good efficiency clips right now. From three ball, he's shooting 47%. And from the field as a total, he's shooting 44%. I like the competition they've played so far. He played good against Trinity, which is a really physical defensive team. He's able to score 14 points against them as a freshman. That's impressive. He plays another Louisville native team in Eastern, and he scores 18 points. So he's playing some tougher competition, and he's playing great against them. He'll play Fern Creek tonight, then he'll play Butler. Then, we start talking about that St. X event this weekend for the Made Hoops. My top 2027 so far, honestly, it's open. It really is open right now. I don't think I can narrow it down to one guy, which sucks because I'd love to pick one player, but there's been so many guys who's been playing good so far. I'll talk about one real quick, Jack Loxton from Grayson County, who's been a really hot name recently. What makes Jack so impressive is, his size being 6'6", but so far he's averaging 20 points a game. He hit the game winner against E-Town. That's been going a little viral, posted across all social medias. He's shooting 40% from three. You can't get much better than 40% from three, especially when you're his size. Like I said, he's averaging 20. I'd like to see those rebound numbers a little higher. Only averaging 3 rebounds, only grabbed 6 on the season. But Grayson County has a game tonight against Ohio County at Ohio County. Then, you start playing those, rivalry games. They play Edmonson County. Then they go to the Carl Deaton Classic and they play Bethlehem. And then that schedule really starts to strengthen up. When you go to, Muhlenberg, when you go to Du Bois, when you go to Butler County in a 3-game set, it's hard to beat those games. It's hard to win out there. Top 2026 so far has been Cole Edlin. He made my top 5 players so far, averaging about 27 points, 5 assists, 4 boards, 4 steals. His way he's been playing so far, the way he's getting to the rim, the way he's drawing contact, the way he's shooting the ball, he's just been playing great so far. He gets these guys like Jordan Mitchell involved, Keyshawn, Trey. So I'm really excited to see how Cole Edlin finishes this season if they're able to win that tough competitive region with him being the number 1. He really impressed me with Indiana Elite this summer, so I knew he would have a big season, and, he really is. Top 2025, so couldn't give you an answer. Maddox Huff, Malachi Moreno, Xander Carter. Maddox Huff has had the best season so far out of all those guys. He's my first week MVP when he was averaging 38, 10, and 5. So, Maddox Huff has been electric so far. Him and Reggie Cottrell, a phenomenal duo over there at Harlan County. Will they make it back to state and finish off the job that they were so close to winning last season against Lyon County? We'll see. We're going to try to do a show like this every week where we highlight that week of basketball, how guys are playing. We have a lot of really good basketball tonight. If you don't have something to do, go watch some high school games. Catch up with how these teams are playing. One thing I say about high school in Kentucky is it's just as talented as it's ever been. It's kind of wide open for the top team. You could say it's St. X. You could say it's Mill. You could say it's Great Crossing. You can make the debate for Lloyd. So it's competitive. I couldn't imagine putting together a top 25 list. So I gave you 10 tonight. I don't think I could do a top 2025 just with how strong they are as a team. So, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I try not to hold you too long. You do a weekly recap and you keep people for about an hour. So you can say I talked a little too much. But game of the night tonight might be Ashland Blazer and Boyd County. We've talked about it a few times, but that's two of the top 10 teams, in my opinion. One of the best county schools, one of the best city schools in Ashland Blazer. When fully healthy, they're without a doubt competing in that 16th region. They're the top two teams. So who comes out with that game? It'll be fun to see. Ashland Blazer yet to be fully healthy. Boyd County, looking to go out there and make a statement early. They start 4-0. We could be putting them in even better conversations than number 9. Some other games that jump out to me. Go to KHSAA and look at some of these things. We got Manual versus PRP. That should be a fun one. Glasgow and Logan, Greene County and Marion County. If you've not got to catch Greene County yet with the new transfers in Modi Kuyate and Eric James Jr., interested to see how they continue to grow and develop as players. Hayden Blakeman has looked super strong so far. Another honorable mention for one of the top 2028 so far is Cooper Stone. The kid's been phenomenal. He's so physical. He plays like a 5-year vet. He plays like a 5th-year senior. He plays just so smart on the ball. So Cooper Stone's going to be one of those names you want to watch for in the following seasons to come up. Want to give a shout out to Holy Cross Louisville. They're in here watching. Thank you so much. Wade Kramer, the transfer in from Atlanta, Georgia, is averaging 25 points a game right now. So he's been playing really good. Jordan Jackson, the young freshman, is averaging 7 rebounds and 14 points. So he's a guy you could have threw in there for the top 2028 so far. And like I said, the talent pool is as stacked as it's ever been. It's hard to pick a certain guy. Butler County loses last night to Warren East, 71-66, one of the top upset wins so far. How did they respond tonight at home against Owensboro? That'll be fun. A Western Kentucky matchup. Paducah Tillman, led by 2026 Miles Woodfork, plays Henderson County, and Cooper Davenport, who recently committed to Samford. That will be a fun game. Who comes out on top there? South Laurel and North Laurel. A little bit of a rival game there. I can't leave tonight's show without talking about North Laurel a little bit with the talent that Reese Davidson is. I talked about it. I said, if Xander Carter's not my forward on this list for the first team, it's Reese Davidson. He's averaging 25 points a game right now and 8 rebounds. He's been phenomenal. You have Reed Shepard and you transition to Reese Davidson. A lot of talent over there in Laurel. So to see him playing at North Laurel, playing a strong 3 games so far, averaging 25 and 8, you can't ask for a much better forward. He's one of the top players in the 2026 class. Some people have him number 1. I'm not mad at that at all. That'll be a fun game against South Laurel tonight, who's led by an all-around really strong roster. Jordan Mabe has looked really strong so far, so that'll be a fun matchup. Jordan Mabe is averaging 18 points a game and 12 rebounds, so we get to see 2 of the top big men in the state kind of go at it and see how they play against each other. So that'll be a fun game. If there's any other key games you guys see tonight, University Heights versus Murray, that will be a fun game. South Oldham versus Collins. Anytime South Oldham's is playing, I'm interested. They've started the season 2-1 so far. Julian Miles averaging 20 points. Jake Fithian only averaging 9, but we know that number will, continue to rise. He's shooting rough from the field right now, but he's one of the best shooters in the state of Kentucky. Should be fun. Over 400 people came in here and watched the show, in the middle of the day. We hope to see this get out to about 10,000 people. Everybody can kind of get a little bit of a highlight on how the first week of basketball's played out so far through the state of Kentucky. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Like I said before, we're going to try to do this weekly. We're going to try to hit on this. I like putting out these lists, starting a little controversy, seeing how people feel about them. So, like I said, want to thank everyone for tuning in today. It's a weird time of day to do a show. Started at 2:30 Central Time. It's 3:30 Central Time now. So it's about 4:30 for the people Eastern Time. So thank you for tuning in. We went for 57 minutes. I hope I didn't hold you too long. Be back next week for another show. God bless, and thank you for watching.